All right, have not fans, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's try to get to 75 likes on this video. Also hit subscribe if you are new to the channel and hit the bell notification icon and select all. That way you're notified whenever I post new content. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Another subject aside from the whole David and Benny potential father-son relationship. A lot of fans are saying, answering the question, Jeremy, you talked about the video, why did Mama Rose retire and how out of left field it seemed. There could be one or two reasons for it. Number one, just lazy writing. Tyler Perry was like, meh, Mama Rose, let's get her out of here. So Vinny is now the new head of the Malone family and blah, 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 blah. Or an interesting one that I honestly never thought about. Did Katheryn scare Mama Rose into retiring? Now, at first glance, you're like, obviously no, given the fact that Katheryn, had retorts and smart remarks for everything Mama Rose had, like a game of tennis, but Mama Rose seemed completely unfazed by anything. It's like, hey, the only thing that got her riled up was 24 hours to have $1 million or I will kill your son. And that was it. And then she just got out of jail and that was the end of that. But obviously she's like, oh, so this chick wants war. All right, let's do it. But then she decides to retire. I mean, to be completely honest, it seems a bit weird that Mama Rose, who for all intents and purposes, it would make sense for her to go through the whole Katheryn war thing and deal with Wyatt and whatever Katheryn throws away, and then give the reins over to her son, who was almost killed by Katheryn's son, and then have him run the family. It's like, wow, one big hurrah, one last hurrah in my reign as head of the Malones. Now I'll pass it down. But to me, it just seems a bit off. I mean, when you really think about it, now that I go back and rewatch some of the scenes between Mom Rose and Katheryn, which were some of the best scenes of the entire season so far, Katheryn made it clear that, you might not fear me, you might not think I'm as ruthless, cold-blooded as whatnot as you, but I am my father's daughter. And those words really need to be, re-examined, because Rose was like, oh, you should know who I am, especially due to the fact that your father knew my mother and they were in deep with each other around town, running a lot of rackets and stuff like that. So one must believe that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, because Mama Rose makes a point to let Katheryn know who she is, who her family is. And even though Katheryn didn't know her father had dealings with people like the Malones, you would think Mama Rose would be smart enough to look and say, you know what? She might not know much about the Malones, but my family knows enough about her father to know that this Katheryn might not be as meek as I think she is. And that says nothing of Katheryn's other siblings. Who's to say if they aren't as ruthless and as dark and conniving as their father? But I don't know or think or believe we'll see any of Katheryn's family, which is a darn shame. But for the most part, you have to wonder, why would Mama Rose just bow out like that? I mean, obviously she feels confident in Vinny enough to let him run the family, but I still think it was flimsy that, oh, you shot a cop in the head. Yeah, you're definitely ready to, run the organization. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all. I mean, Mama Rose saying that she's going to go on to Florida. I mean, is that her trying to escape instead of sitting around and, well, not sitting around because obviously she left the chair in jail, but basically, lounging around to get revenge? I mean, personally, it feels like the way Mama Rose was bigging herself up in jail and how she felt bothered by what Katheryn said in almost an annoyed fashion, like she dares rise up against me and provoke me into war. Wouldn't that be something that Mama Rose would stick around for, to personally make sure it's handled? In this case, it just seems that, no, find the kid, keep him, get the $1 million, give him back, and then that'll be the end of that. It just doesn't seem like it's enough for me. But then again, like I said before, it could just be the way it was written to just write Mama Rose out of the story, give the Malones another reason to go after the Criers again. But I do think it does speak volumes to Katheryn will most likely find out where Mama Rose is retired to and probably not kill her off that way, especially if something does happen to Wyatt. I feel that even if Wyatt is abducted, well, obviously he will be, even if he isn't even hurt or killed, Katheryn Cryer would make a point to make sure that Mama Rose gets the message that a Hartgrave is not one to be trifled with. Like, Jim might be a pushover. You might have had your way with him multiple times, but you're not going to have your way with me. And I think Jim is going to freak out if he finds out about this, but obviously Katheryn doesn't give a damn. Look what happened with the whole Jennifer Salison situation. If memory serves, Katheryn saw Jim in jail, and I think that was around the same time before she was going to kill Jennifer, and Jim was like, Kate, don't do it, because, you know, he knew Katheryn was going to do something reckless that he would have to clean up. And of course, we saw what she did. She killed Jennifer. Now with Mama Rose, the question is, if something does happen to Rose and Katheryn is responsible, will that unleash the wrath of the Malone family on the Cryers? Most likely, but we'll just have to wait and see how things play out. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you think Katheryn Cryer scared Mama Rose into retiring? Do you think that's why she stepped down and gave the reins over to Vinny? That way she can get out of town before Katheryn gets out? Because if anything does happen to Wyatt, she could be like, I'm out of town. Ain't no way she can reach me here. But once again, you got to look at the fact that Katheryn Cryer, her family is well respected in D.C. Go back to like episode 1 or 2 with the haves and the have-nots, and David says that to Jim. So with her connections and everything, I'm pretty dang sure they will find out where Rose is. Not to mention the feds are looking into and investigating Malone family now. I'm pretty sure they're keeping tabs on Mama Rose. So if Katheryn is privy to that information, I'm pretty sure they can find out and find a way to take her out one way or another. And now the question is, would they also take out, what's this? Basically, Rose said that, oh, your uncle is down there too. I'm going to retire with him. So I don't know. I feel like this is an interesting conversation that should be had. And even if you want to say that Katheryn did not scare Rose into retiring, you could also use the argument that if she didn't scare Rose into retirement, then we all know by now, even though there's flimsy and inconsistent writing, Katheryn is one to not be trifled with, especially not underestimated. So with that being said, let me know your 2 cents in the comment section below. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or you can join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.